Rangeela had one of the worst camera works of my career. मुझे एक पागल कुत्ता ने कोविड ने काटा है. OTT is a platform which is acquiring content, and whereas pay-per-view is more about your personal thing. I don't have time to think about people who have time to think about me. Last 3 months, no one speaks as if Sushant never existed and the mystery never existed. I am very passionate about what I do, and whether someone likes it or not is up to them, and I don't make it for them. I make it for what excites me. All my films, in terms of at what cost they were made in, they made money. So there's no such thing as I've been mainly making failures for the last 12 years.
Mr. Varma, welcome back on Bollywood Hungama.
Yes, sir. How are you? Happy New Year, and I hope you had a great time during the COVID times. That sounds dark, but actually, if you look at it again, it's correct. I mean, I hope you had at least a good time. That's actually what I mean.
I think personally, I would say that it was one of the best years of my life. So absolutely.
I mean, I think mainly because you could just stay at home and do the work instead of really going here and there.
You can say that we did around more than 350 virtual interviews. So learning-wise, as I think you also have said that the world has changed and people are doing chats online right now. They're not doing meetings, actual meetings. So yes, it's a new world altogether.
Yeah, more than anything else, I think what the has taught us is that no two people need to meet each other except to have sex, maybe, or to beat up each other. Everything else can be done online.
That's true. Dr. Varma, I will tell you that for the first time in the last maybe 10 odd years that I've known you, you wished to be happy for anything, and that you for the first time you wished Happy New Year to me. So it seems that
I guess that's what COVID maybe. मुझे एक पागल कुत्ता ने कोविड ने काटा है.
No, but apparently you had a good New Year's Eve, from what I understand.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Nice company as well.
I celebrated it in Goa.
I know. I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
So, are you happy with this shift to Goa?
Yes, very much. Mainly because the kind of films I'm planning, we are already making, that I've got a wide variety of locations, and almost everything you get within 30-40 minutes from wherever you are. And I think it actually looks like a huge film city in a sense of the word. Yeah.
Okay, and recently you've experimented with pay-per-view, and you're pretty happy with the as well.
Yes.
Do you think that is the future of cinema in India, or consumption of entertainment?
Wherever. I think if you look at it, most of the people, when they have direct interaction with whatever kind of people you manage to garner as your followers, as people who are interested in your work, I think that's the future. Because even OTTs, I think they'll become oceans one of these days. Not that they've not become already. So I think on a brand level, if you can manage to make a mark to whatever extent of the numbers, I think that's an excellent opportunity. It's like you having your own theater. Yeah.
You feel OTT is the future?
It has already become the future. I don't think it is the future. It is already become. It's not like it is going to happen shortly. OTT is different from pay-per-view theater. OTT is a platform which is acquiring content, and more or less it's like a mall in a way, to think of an analogy. Whereas pay-per-view is more about your personal thing. It's like you are making content for probably whoever likes you doing that kind of work. And that's a completely different aspect.
12 o'clock is coming up. You've done many horror films. What is different in 12 o'clock?
See, primarily I had an interesting conversation with someone who met me, because I myself don't believe in horror and supernatural. So that guy said, you don't believe it because you didn't experience it, and which is the reason you think it's not there. But what about the people? What if they have experienced it, and how can you speak for them and then make the sweeping statements that I don't believe in the so-called supernatural? I like that as a premise. So I thought I'll create a situation where institutions like the police department and the scientific communities, they by the definition, they would never ever endorse belief in the supernatural. But what if they themselves experience something? Now, as a job profile, as in that position, they can't say it. For example, you never heard a policeman saying, I think in this case we are suspecting a ghost's involvement. You know, no one would say that. Even if they say that, I think even the believers won't believe it. So I created a situation like that in 12 o'clock and just to see what happens.
But Mr. Verma, you've done many horror films. People will have those questions that you've explored so many aspects as far as horror is concerned. Maybe in a way you are rehashing what you've been doing for so many years.
Uniqueness of this subject matter, but like I was just trying to explain, see, eventually, horror genre technically is supposed to scare you. So the context when it is fresh, when it's something which you have not seen before, that is when I think it merits to get made into a film. So the context of institutions which are never supposed to endorse or accept or kind of recognize an element of supernatural, they're forced because of a sequence of events happening in Bombay City. That for me is a contest that I think is very fresh and new, which has not been seen before, and that will be the new angle in 12 o'clock.
That will be the new angle in 12 o'clock. Okay, so Mr. Verma, I was doing some research on you and I realized that the last film that turned out to be a commercial success for you was, I think, almost 12 years back. Spook was the film that went on to be a commercial success.
But
How do you deal with that?
the
A lot of
point
your
is, for me, to say it's a commercial successes of two kinds. One is the so-called reviews. One is what is the cost you made the film in, and how much it recovered. And then, of course, the what the individual fees, which we'll never know. All my films, in terms of at what cost they were made in, they made money. So there's no such thing as I've been mainly making failures for the last 12 years. It's the perception of the people in context in comparison to probably something else they are seeing. For example, if I'm making a picture in, let's say, 10 crores, it collected 12 crores, is successful. But if I made a film in 2 crores and it collected 4 crores, in compared to the 12 crore, it looks like a lesser thing. But I know what cost I made it, which is the reason I'm able to sustain.
Would you say that one of the reasons why you've maybe shifted out of Mumbai is because of the gossip culture in Mumbai? A lot of stories they are planted, and maybe even about you as well. These perceptions have been built up that he's not taking himself seriously, and maybe he's past his prime. Is that one of the reasons why you have shifted out of
Yet
Mumbai?
the two things, Fadlan, because I don't have time to think about people who have time to think about me. Point one.
Mhm.
I think I'm the only guy in the entire industry who's continuously working and continuously making films, whether it's here on the digital world or in fact in Corona, I did not stop shooting for one day for the whole year. So that should answer the question. And with regard to me shifting out in the COVID time because the whole industry closed down and my hometown being Hyderabad, I went back to my home for the last 1 year. And 4 months back, I shifted to Goa because all the films I'm making, they need locations which are more available in Goa. So I now I will put an office up in Goa. So till the time of before COVID started, obviously I was in Bombay in my Vira Desai Road office. So then what people speculate, they don't have the time to think about others, and I don't have time to think because I'm working all the time.
During the last few months, when this entire crisis came on Bollywood and a lot of things were being said about Bollywood, you were the only one. You were, I think, very few people who actively was speaking up and was having a voice at that point of time when everyone else was silent. How do you look at things now? Like maybe things have quietened down now. Do you think? And
See,
is
I
going to
honestly think the news media have become like they were making their own films. That's what we reached in the context. Okay, like I was the only guy who was talking about Sushant's case, a complete exaggeration in the way it's being reported by various channels, especially Republic. And now it's true. If you look at it, the last 3 months, no one speaks as if Sushant never existed and the mystery never existed. I mean, after claiming from the rooftops, Riya is involved and it's a murder, it is this and that. So because after you speak enough, it's like a film आ गया अभी खत्म हो गया चलो दूसरा film चालू करो. So I think that's in the zone. That's the zone we're in, and I knew it. I mean because when it's reached a point where the news media is becoming the court, the judge, the investigator, and the accuser and the defender. I mean, obviously there is something drastically wrong. The same people are not even speaking about the topic as much as if it never existed. Yeah,
you announced the film on Mr. Arnab Goswami? Are you still working
yeah.
on it?
Yes, yes, yes. It'll take some time because I just have to finish off my pending project, and yeah.
So how much time do you think? Because last time when we met, you said that by November or something, it can possibly come out.
I can't commit, but I would say it should come out within 3 to 4 months.
And a lot of water has flown under the bridge since we last spoke about the film. So would you want to add those various incidents the way they have happened?
Not really. You see, my whole idea about the film is not so much about a specific incident, it's not related to a specific case. I just want to capture, in the context of the media in the name of freedom, if it goes to the extreme level in terms of the upper limit, what actually can happen to a society or to a country. And like, when it's from the point of just reporting what's happening, if it is starts influencing what people should think, I mean,
Mm.
that I think that's a zone which is completely new. I mean, I don't think when people wrote the constitution, they took this into account, the freedom of press being pitched in this way, what exactly it can do to society. I want to take a serious look at that. So it is not, it will be fictional. It is not going to be about a segment of specific segment which happened in the recent times.
So are you still making a film on Sasikala?
It'll happen, but I don't think I'll be able to release that pre-election because there's hardly any time, and then this will kick in the so-called election code. So it will be made, but not in a hurry because I'm tied up with something else.
Okay, now, Mr. Verma, it is also said that you tend to announce films maybe as a as an exercise in publicity vehicle as well. It keeps you relevant. It keeps you in the news. How do you respond to that?
I think I will again answer it in the same way. I am the most prolific filmmaker in the industry. I never keep quiet for one day, and no one releases as many number of films as me. Point one. Point two, when I announce a film, that's my intention. Yes, and that might take. And you see, when things leak out that this is what's happening. So instead of that, I just want to put it in context, and this is exactly the reason why I'm making the film. For example, now I'm releasing 12 o'clock. In February, I'm releasing Ladki, the martial arts film, which I've done. And I also finished a film called Dangerous, which is about a lesbian crime backdrop action film, which I also finished. So I'm releasing 4 films in the next 2 months, which I dare anyone can compete with that.
All
All
right.
that I've made it and kept it ready for theaters to open. Yeah.
But Mr. Verma, so I saw with rapt attention that the 25-year celebration of Rangeela with you, Amir, and Jackie sir, and Urmila was there as well. Now, someone like Amir, he was so passionate about you the director, and he also came out with the grievances that he had while shooting for the film. But the fact is that he had a lot of respect for you. There is no doubt about that. But there will be people who would say that are you diluting the equity that you've built up maybe in '90s by making the sort of film that you're making right now? Like Larki, for example, it's a martial arts film, but are you really happy with that? How do you respond to that, sir?
I think I answered this question quite a few times in the many years, not only with you and everything. The bottom line is I'm a filmmaker. I'm very passionate about what I do. And whether someone likes it or not is up to them. And I don't make it for them. I make it for what excites me. And if it doesn't work, I am the guy who will bear the consequences. There's no one other needs to feel anything about it. Eventually, a film working, many times I said this, all my hits are accidents and all my flops are by intent. Because if I knew how to make a hit, why would I make a flop? Like in the
Mm.
context of Satya's 20 years, I said this. Satya is a film which made by itself. I didn't make it. But if we made it, then why couldn't we repeat it again? Whether it's me or Anurag or the actors or anyone involved. You only can have an intention. What comes out is not in your hands. Having said that, whatever I make, I have the equal passion. I made Sarkar and Aag with the same passion. The result is what how people see it.
But still, sir, when it comes to Rangeela, for example, it was a landmark film in terms of even technically. Like I've interacted with you for department, and when we were doing those blogs, and how excited you were when you were interacting with those kids of in terms of the digital cameras, the small cameras, and you were extremely passionate about it. Even with let's say talking about Rangeela, the lighting or the camera work that we utilized was way ahead of the times for Satya. you utilize the guerrilla form of shooting, which happened for the first time. So you're saying it that your hits are by accident, but apart from the hit factor, those are timeless films as well. Those are great films as well.
I mean, I can't be speaking in terms of a technical aspect. It would be difficult for people to understand in the interview. See, for example, I think Rangeela had one of the worst camera works of my career. Because Urmila was looking good and the film was looking
You're
worked,
saying
people don't realize.
first camera
Yeah,
work
yeah.
of your career.
I'm telling you that. I'm telling you that. Because, see, by the time you saw Rangeela, in terms of your exposure to cinema, your exposure, that's fine. Camera work for me will be a very different understanding because I'm a technician. When you look at a film, you like it, you like everything about it. I'll just give an example. Okay. When in 2000, maybe roughly 13, 14, I happened to meet some director in South. I asked him this question. So he said, I just saw this film or some film, I don't know name it. And I said, how is it? He said, yeah, film is okay, but Rasul Pekuti work is fantastic. He said, I said, okay. And then I asked him, how many films you watch in per week on average? He said, two. So which means 8 films you watch in a month and maybe 15 a year. Can you tell me the last time you saw any film which had bad sound effects? He doesn't know. Then I asked him, do you know any film where there were fantastic sound effects? He doesn't know because they didn't get the so-called award. Okay. Then I asked him, did you follow Russell Pekuti's record post that? Or do you know that they did 75 films before Slumdog Millionaire? I'm not taking away the work of Russell Pekuti, let me tell you. My point is, when a film works, you kind of, I never saw a film in my life or anybody where they said that the film is good, some particular part of it is not good. It doesn't work. If film is good, everything looks good. But I look at it specifically because I'm a technician. I look at it beyond what it is. I don't see the overall effect because of the ability to single out each aspect of the particular film, what's working. For example, Gordon Willis, the photographer of Godfather, was termed as one of the 10 top camera works of all time by many awards. Okay. Now, nobody knows Gordon Willis has done more than 90 films as a cinematographer, and nobody knows a single film because the films didn't work. His talent will be the same. I am not trying to undermine somebody's work or not. I'm just trying to explain to you the way I will look at the photography. I will look at this thing. If, for example, if you take a department, I would believe that if it is shot with very proper cameras, even then it will still be as big of a flop. It's not the cameras. The problem is me, not the cameras, not the technical style which I develop. It's a function always of the screenplay or the writing which makes a film fail.
Tell us something about the Mithun Chakravarti. Mithun Chakravarti is part of 12'O. How was the experience of working with him?
The film is basically about a strange incident or a strange sequence happening in a lower middle class family somewhere. And Mithun is playing a psychiatrist and someone else, a police commissioner. All these characters are intrigued about some inexplicable thing which is happening in this house. And I wanted to have a cast of characters so very anti-type. You don't expect Mithun Chakravarti to be playing a psychiatrist, for example. And likewise. So I think that you will probably understand if you see the film.
Okay, and you're having Makram Deshpande as well. You're part of films as well. You play some iconic characters. How was the experience of working with Makram Deshpande?
I know Makram since a long time, and I think he's a very good actor. And I thought for this particular role, and he's done really phenomenally well. Yeah.
Any other actors that really surprised you in the film?
I mean, even newcomer Krishna Gautam, who plays the person who gets affected by the supernatural entity. And it's a debut film, and it's a very complex role in the context of that, and to be performing in that sense in midst of all these experienced actors, I must say she's done a very good job. Mano Kaul is playing a cop, and that's very unusual. I mean, and to see fear in a police inspector's face, like terrified of something what he's witnessing in the context, and I think that's because I wanted very, very credible actors that you can manage to evoke very complex emotions, complex kind of expressions because of the subject matter.
All right. So, Mr. Verma, as always, wonderful talking to you. Thank you
Yeah.
very much for your time and all the best wishes for 12 o'clock and all future ventures.
Okay.
अब आपसे मिलने के लिए आई थिंक मेरे ख्याल से गोवा गोवा आना पड़ेगा.
Yes. Okay.